to
Spells from the Shelf.
Spells from the Shelf. I'm Ammie.
I'm Paul.
And we're here to talk about A Curse Carved in Bone.
By Danielle Jensen.
By Danielle Jensen. I got little goodies here, guys. I was
just show me the goodies.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys can see in the little thing. You're gonna have to zoom in, but I got a little Bjorn male main character moment here with his fire axe and everything. He's a character in this book, and this was an impulse buy. ADHD impulse buying is a real thing. I saw this from Fire Drake Artistry. She was at a Polycon, and it's really, I had to pick it up.
It's got some weight to it, so you could definitely use it as a weapon.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah, this thing definitely. And it has like some, Paulie was trying to figure it out. He was like, what is she doing? Because it's like 3D printed.
Yeah, it's raised in certain areas. Like it's a matte image, and then it's got these cool little raised elements to it that are
very cool. And it's a nice moment because, as you can see on the book cover, you have book 1, which is A Fate Inked in Blood, which is a nice little shimmery moment. But it's Freya is on the cover, as well as Badass Freya.
Dark Freya.
Dark Freya. To be fair, she has every right to be mad.
Helheim.
I
curse you to hell.
When it comes to A Curse Carved in Bone, Freya had every right to be mad at the beginning of this book. So, to give a little summary, you have our female main character who starts out in the first book, A Fate Inked in Blood.
Duology, right?
It is a duology.
And she's going to end it at a duology.
And she ended it at a duology. Shout out to
Big
Jensen.
News.
Oh my good. And I love that. I love that about her. She does end her books, like her Bridge Kingdom series. They're duo moments.
Nice.
In the same world. I appreciate authors who don't trick me. Okay. I'm looking at you, Yaros. I'm looking right at you.
For real. Everybody was like, wait a minute. How did it end here? I thought this was a trilogy. Whoop. Psych.
Psych. Just kidding. Yeah, it happens all the time. You know, you kind of just got to roll with the punches, guys. But I love a good duo moment. So you will start with A Fate Inked in Blood, and you will meet Freya, who is hiding the fact that she is a godchild.
The unfated.
The unfated. Yes. So there's Norse mythology that's kind of the undertone of this Viking
romantasy.
Yeah, romantasy. Romantasy. Me and Paulie were just discussing romantasies.
Yeah, I was like, this feels like my first romantasy, you know, my first spin. And Anne-Marie was furious. She was like,
Fourth Wing. Okay. Is that not a romantasy? It is. It is.
Apparently the dragons clouded my mind, as you pointed out. There's obviously romantasy aspects to it, but to me there was so much more foundational world building and like narrative other than the Xaden romance part.
Yeah, no,
I feel like so I think that was perfectly summarized, right? Like Norse mythology meets romantasy in A Curse Carved in Bone, of Fate Inked in Blood. I felt like there were some moments where the romance she's just thrown in romance, but it is a really fun story. Great female main character. And actually, I will agree with you. So like I've read other books from this author. Her Bridge Kingdom series, which is more political intrigue, is heavier on the political intrigue plot, and the romantic element to it is what I would call a subplot. So it's there, but it's not the main show. I would agree that in this duology, the romance does kind of, and that's the thing with romantasy. So what romantasy means is it's romance and fantasy even. So you're getting both fantasy elements with romantic elements that kind of balance each other out. Ammie's suggesting that it's even, but I think that's the beholder, eye of the beholder. Because sometimes there's a little bit more romance. And I'm not just talking about spicy scenes, right? Like spicy scenes, great. We've got plenty of spice in these books.
These are spicy.
But the obsession, I guess, of the characters, like sometimes it feels like it's the only thing they're thinking of. And it just felt like yes, you can have that obsessive love in your life sometimes, but there are other things going on around.
Hello. Let's talk about Violet and Onyx Storm. All she talked about was Satan's so hot.
That was, Onyx Storm, there was a little bit more of that, right? We talked about that where it was like, this is like the softcore version of the Empyrean trilogy.
I will give you that. Okay. To be fair, I will give you that. Onyx Storm was the one, and that was the last one I read. So that could be why I'm like, hello, you did read a romantasy, sir.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah. When he said this is my first romantasy, I was like, excuse me.
I'll take it. I'll take the zig.
Come on.
It just didn't feel like, so I feel like in A Curse Carved in Bone that there were moments. It was like the editor was like, throw in a fuck scene here, throw in a romance, throw in some more romance here. This is what your fans want. And it just felt a little bit more like a Lego thing going on versus like a natural flow of the narrative.
More so in the second book.
Yes, more so in the second, 100%.
So the first book, no. But yes, I will concede to that point. I did think that one of the spicy scenes in this book, one of them did not make sense to me. It kind of felt like some habanero peppers were like thrown in. We're like,
we're obviously have big feelings about this book because we completely skipped over the summary. So we should probably give you some summary.
We started giving the summary and then we got like, guys, ADHD is a real thing.
Yes.
We went off on a side quest. It was an appropriate side quest though. So summarize. I think you're very good at that, actually.
Yeah. So what you're seeing here in book 1 and book 2. So we've got these humans that are partially begat by gods, right? And it's all the Norse mythology. So you've got Thor, you've got the god of lightning, you've got the All-Father Odin, you've got Hel, Loki's daughter, and Loki.
Yes.
There's, all the Norse characters that you know from either Marvel movies or actually reading Norse mythology.
Yeah, or actually reading Norse mythology. What an idea.
What an idea.
Hello, Norse mythology is cool.
So you've got these characters that all have some godly powers, right? Like there's a character that has lightning. There's a character that Freya can pull down spoiler. In the second book, we find out has the power of 2 goddesses.
2, yeah.
And I think it's kind of cool in Norse mythology where the ruler of hell is a woman. You don't usually see that, right? Like
you never see
in Western
that.
mythologies, it's always like in Dante's Inferno and like in the Odyssey, and in Roman and Greek mythology, it's always a male. So I think it's really cool in Norse mythology that it's a female.
Yeah, I liked that a lot too.
But you basically have these god characters, and they're all kind of figuring out their world, right? There's the typical, power struggles, right?
Yeah.
One hears a prophecy this way and thinks he's supposed to be king, and the other one thinks he should be the ruler. So there's these common power struggles that are going on throughout the book. And Freya is their main character. Freya starts out in book 1 as, the fishmonger's wife.
The fishmonger's wife. And I love that she hates him.
Vroggy.
And he deserves to be hated, though. To be fair, he totally deserves to be hated.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have not read book 1, this will be a spoiler. She kills him.
Oh, yeah.
The most epic way ever.
Yeah, it is pretty epic.
He betrayed her. Okay. So I just want to stress that. He betrayed her. He deserved, I don't know if he got to, maybe I shouldn't say that. I don't know if he deserved to get unalived, but it's fiction. It's fine. It's okay. We're not going to worry about him and his character.
Yeah. He's short-lived.
He's short-lived. And it kind of sets things into motion that can't be like taken out of motion because he betrayed her and told someone that she was fated.
Yeah, and what's interesting about some of this, there's like echoes of Helen of Troy, right? They're all kind of fighting over the shield maiden. That's Freya. That's our female main character.
I didn't pick up on that.
So if you think about Helen of Troy, she was like robbed and brought across the seas, and that's what started the whole Trojan War. And you've got something similar happening in book 2 where they meet on the seas, right? It becomes a naval battle where they're,
right.
Harold from Nordland steals Freya, the shield maiden, and there's this whole prophecy. So we're calling her the shield maiden. Hiln is a minor goddess, but a protector, and that's whose power Freya has.
Mm-hmm.
So there's basically like a summoning. So as we kind of think about the magical system, there's like a summoning, a chant saying like, Hiln, protect me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
Freya's magic can protect like a whole boat. It can protect like a whole like shield wall, or an invading force.
Which is very cool. I kind of liked, so here's the thing. Freya is a character who is, I think, very heroic. And instead of having Bjorn, who is the male main character, not saying that he's not heroic, but Freya is the main heroic character. And for people who don't deserve it, like her family, does not deserve her heroism, but she protects them anyway and cares enough to protect them.
Yeah, Bjorn's always looking to exit, right?
Yeah,
He's
Bjorn's
always
like, we gotta
let's just go.
Yeah.
Let's just get out of here.
It's like, forget these people.
And Freya's like, no, I'm a leader.
Right.
I can't escape my destiny.
Yeah. Once she's like found out, she kind of rocks and rolls with it. Like she's not happy about it, but she does rock and roll with it. And in the first book, so it's important to understand where Freya's coming from in this second and last book of the story, is she's kind of done. She's very tired of being used at this point, you know?
Yeah. All the people fighting for power are wielding her as a weapon.
Right.
She's sick of it.
And she's very sick of it. And she finds out that Bjorn was not like that. She finds out that he was a little complicit in it because he was working with Harold behind his father Snorri's back, which is the opposition. And she kind of feels that's the point where you see her go, I'm done. I'm tired of being used, tired of people lying to me and kind of making me do whatever they want for the sake of power.
And basically the prophecy revolves around this idea that whoever controls the fate of the Shield Maiden will unite the disparate kingdoms.
Right.
Right. So like, instead of one ring to rule them all, it's one shield to rule them all.
One shield to rule them all.
And
yeah, that's
great,
a good one. Yeah, one shield to rule them all.
So so they're all fighting to have control of Freya, and Freya gets pushed and pulled, and she gets manipulated, and
yes,
you're following along these paths of manipulation, and through a lot of the books and the story, you're just waiting, like, come on, Freya, you are going to take control of your destiny.
Yes.
It's your destiny. You take control. I felt like that was dragged out a little bit.
Yes, but that was. I do like that Bjorn kind of helps her in a way with that, because he's the one who keeps saying, like, don't you want to control your own destiny? But to be fair, sometimes when he says it, because and I love Bjorn, but sometimes when he says it, he's like, well, controlling your own destiny means we're going to run away now. And like, we're going to leave all this behind. Don't you want to control your own destiny? But I want you to also run away at the same time.
Well, he's sick of it, right? He is. Bjorn, as the background of his character, has been kidnapped also and taken away. And he's lost his mother because of these power struggles.
Yes.
So he's just like, he's opting out.
He's opting out. He's tired of it. And even though he understands the bad parts of the people that he cares about in his life, he can't escape them also tricking him. Yeah. And what I mean by that is, so Snorri is his biological father.
Mm-hmm.
But when he was kidnapped as a boy, Harold was the one who took him and kind of, I won't call it was like manipulation, and brought him over to his side. But Bjorn doesn't know that he's being manipulated.
Yeah.
At all. He is none the wiser to it. And it's another situation like where we talked about in Air, where if you...
Following IEs.
Yeah. Following IEs. If you trust the wrong person, it can kind of sometimes be a little detrimental.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people are not honest.
No, everybody just wants their own support sidekick, or come to my side, come to my side.
Come to my side.
Truth has these nuances. to come to your own opinion, but the characters in the novel or outside of novels have to at some point you have to pick a side with the facts that you have.
Yeah. And I think what's kind of important about, so you are given 2 point of views. You have Bjorn's point of view and Freya's point of view. And in my personal opinion, the one you can definitely 100% rely on Freya's point of view, because she's a pretty reliable narrator, because she's only going off of what she's getting information wise. And I wouldn't say that she like misled us in any way.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair. It's interesting because as the story was unfolding, you knew at some point that Snorri was being manipulative, right? He's just all about ambition, right?
About
so
ambition.
He just wants to control the Shield Maiden, Freya, to unite his territory, Scotland, and take care of Northern as well. And then she goes over to Harold's side, and all of a sudden, you find out later on that she's being manipulated by Harold. So she's getting like tossed and turned.
She is.
So she has a truth at this particular time in the novel, and then she has another truth at the next particular time in the novel. So you are seeing her grow.
Right.
But I agree with you. You're absorbing the truths as she learns them.
You're absorbing them as she learns them. That's not to say that Bjorn is an unreliable narrator. It's just that in the first book, you don't find out that he's on the other side until that's a reveal that happens to Freya. That's not something that's revealed to us in his point of views.
Yeah.
Whatsoever. So you're kind of surprised because that you kind of know though that he's like hiding something because he hates his dad. Hates him like with a fiery passion of 1,000 burning suns. He wants this. And you know what? He feels that his dad is the reason why his mother is not alive. He has every right to hate him. Every right. Absolutely in the sun to hate him. But in A Curse Carved in Bone, I felt like what Jensen does every single time, and this is just, it could be because I've read so many of her books so far, is she does always wait for certain times to like reveal something that's going to completely change the storyline.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think, around halfway through Curse Carved in Bone, after reading book 1 and then getting like halfway through A Curse Carved in Bone, I was like, where is Loki? Loki does not appear until much later in her Norse, in this world. And I was like, are we just going to leave Loki out completely? And finally, when Loki comes into fruition in the novel, it's really a great plot twist.
It is a great plot twist. It's one that I didn't expect at all. And
I wasn't, it's fun. Like the whole time I was like, where the hell is Loki? And then you get the plot twist. And I was like, oh, of course.
And here's the thing. So we find out, and this is a spoiler if you haven't read A Fate Inked in Blood. It's not a spoiler for A Curse Carved in Bone because it's something that's mentioned at the end of A Fate, which is that Bjorn's mother is not dead. Saga. She's not dead.
Okay, so here's something that I wanted to clarify. At the moment of the reveal, it seems like the Saga character, Saga's Bjorn's mother, and she's basically the prophetess that has told the prophecy about the Shield Maiden, that whoever controls the Shield Maiden will win. And that we know that prophecy to be true versus the reveal and spoilers later where they were like false prophecies. But at that moment of the reveal, it feels very confusing. Like, is one character made up of smoke, or is like Harold's Loki, or was Loki controlling Harold?
No, so Harold is Loki.
Okay, Harold is Loki.
Yeah.
So he just manifests like
he's a
wisp of Saga?
It goes into like that shape that
she shudders and like
the
blurs.
illusion aspect of Loki's character is that he can create these illusions that feel really real.
Okay, got it. Yep.
Which is a perfect description of Loki, because I'm not saying, I'm going to do another Marvel reference. I love Marvel. I'm not saying that Marvel didn't do a great job. I do love Loki's character in Marvel, but I liked that in this book, Loki was more of that trickster,
creating the illusion.
illusionist, because he is a master
of deception.
Yeah. Like, Loki's a bad guy. Not a good guy.
It's true. It was, you do the echoes of Marvel, but I thought there was in the scene where Bjorn, so spoiler, where Bjorn kills his father, Snorri, in the second book.
Oh, yeah.
It felt very Star Wars. It felt very like Luke killing.
It does.
Darth Vader.
No, it does.
But there was this amazing term where Snorri was like, she's lying. Saga's lying. This is not what happened.
That's not what happened at all. And he doesn't realize that, like, he's being
duped.
And it's almost like, because of this narrative that he believed to be true, Loki just like magnified that and made it so real and believable that he ended up like ending his father's life. And then in that moment, this is what I also love about Jensen. Just when you think you know a character that she's given you, she's like, I'm going to tell you about this character. You don't know anything about this character, but I'm going to let you know about this character because I hated Snorri. But then in that moment, I was like, okay, maybe he wasn't so bad.
Maybe he wasn't so
Maybe he wasn't as bad as
this
I
is
made
not
him
a
out
fitting
to be.
death for Snorri.
Yeah, I mean, and to be fair, I don't know why I hated him so much. He was really loyal to Ylva, his wife, to the point where, so this is a spoiler for A Fate Inked. Snorri, in order to have the shield maiden completely under his control, marries her. But they do not consummate the marriage. So it's a false marriage then. But in order for Ylva to keep that secret for them, there's a blood oath that's made. And the blood oath became a really important part of it because in A Curse Carved, it's like we need the specifics of the wording because anytime you're doing any kind of oath, the specifics are really important. And Snorri did all of this because Ylva was so upset that he would be with another woman and he didn't want to upset her like that. But then why are you marrying someone else, sir? Well,
because and before Ylva there was Saga.
There was Saga.
So Snorri was married to Saga and Saga was playing both Harold and Snorri.
Yes, she was.
I love that quote. She was like, my appetite for sex had to have two men, not one. I was like, oh man, this is great.
I think I loved how just like, and in the way that Saga says it is just so like
casual. This is who I am.
And I love that.
She just owns it. Yeah.
Yeah. Very, this is a very matriarchal book in my opinion. I really believe that, the men are like the head of the story. Like, Snorri, but Ylva's pulling his neck, whichever direction she wants it to go in. Make no mistake. Ylva is a powerful character in this.
And Loki disguises himself as Harold's wife.
Yeah, as Saga, which was...
So he can pull the threads of her.
Yes. And it's all these different things that are happening all at one time because you almost, in the beginning of the second book, okay? And what I also love about a duology moment is when they're not stupid long.
Yeah.
Like I don't need 600 pages of 2 books.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Okay. It's okay. You don't have to.
It's like, folks, we know the formula, 350, 400 pages. That's the sweet spot for these bestsellers, people moving, people talking about them.
But I will say I did, even though I absolutely loved this book and I rated it 5 stars. I do feel that the first part of it is slow moving, which is surprising because we already have a book under our belt. Right?
Yeah.
So sometimes what I want to have happen in a duo is I want to get right to the point.
Just to be a continuation.
Yeah, I just want there to be a continuation. I don't need don't do this to me.
Just give me an intermission. Don't give me another slow burn.
Yeah, I don't need more
I already invested slow burn in book 1.
I already invested in this. But I understand why it's needed because I did go to her book signing. And she did say, and I agree with this, I do agree with this, this is true, that if the characters are officially together, your 2 main characters, whoever they are, you have to then manufacture tension, which I do think is true. So I can see why you would want to wait for the last possible moment for that.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't want it to be, and that could be why maybe you felt that it was more romantic versus fantasy, because it's kind of like that tension between them is an important aspect of the story.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the tension was accurate in most or necessary in most of the places, but my issues weren't necessarily with the manufactured conflict. It was just the random scenes. Like they're stuck on a frozen tundra island. You know, Bjorn is completely woebegone over killing his father and realizing he'd been tricked by Loki. And Freya had just dragged all of Snorri's forces into hell after realizing she'd been foiled, you know, and tricked again and manipulated again. And then all of a sudden there's like a super spicy fuck scene.
It was misplaced, which is surprising for Jensen, because she's typically very good at placing things appropriately.
Yeah.
That was an odd moment.
It felt like the editor just came in and be like, dude, I need one more sex scene. Throw it in there. I don't care where you do it. Just anywhere you want it. Like, it just felt incongruous with the rest of the story. Because to your point, like, Jensen does have like a progression through the story, and where there's spice, it makes sense to have spice. That's just like, what are we doing here?
And
how does this contribute to the story arc?
I will say this, and I did agree with you there. I did, when we were talking about it, I was like, yeah, that was a little weird placement for that scene. And I do think, and this goes into what we said in our previous podcast when we were talking about YA fantasies, which is, yes, very different. This is an adult fantasy. I think we can all, I'm hoping that we all got that, but I want to make sure that we all know this is an adult fantasy, which means that obviously there's adult content.
Yes. Explicit language. Yes. Explicit graphic content.
Yes. So this is spicy. It's habanero. It has habanero peppers in it. But when we're talking about the fantasy genre, I do think that sometimes readers expect spicy in their adult fantasy books. But I have read adult fantasy. Like, I would say V.E. Schwab is adult fantasy. Like, I would call Darker Shades adult.
Yeah, I agreed.
Yeah, they're it's not what I would consider YA. It's adult, but it's not reliant. And it's not about, like, and I love my spicy books, but I think sometimes as readers we get caught up in requiring spicy things in everything, and it doesn't need to be in everything.
Yeah,
but it also doesn't need to be a checkbox. And I do think that sometimes that happens with books today, is there's like a trope checklist.
Yep.
And if it's an adult book, a spicy checklist. How many is it? So one spicy pepper to me is one open door scene. Mm-hmm. 2 spicy peppers is 2 open door scenes. It goes up to 5. 5 is like, there's no plot.
Gratuitous.
Yeah. That better be a 1,000-page book, because if you're going to balance out the plot there. But to that point is, I do think that there's sometimes, and I don't always fault the authors for this.
Yeah.
But I do think there's a checklist. Yeah. Like enemies to lovers. Check.
Agreed. And I feel like, just, you know, it feels like it, right? Like it's not just, you know, obviously you're trying to get a book published and you're trying to get it to sell, and the fans want what the fans want.
Right.
But the author's also delivering their art, and you can always tell, and this happens in movies too, right? Like,
it totally does.
They're just putting in a scene just to manufacture something.
Yes.
But favorite moment? Favorite theme?
Favorite moment.
Yeah.
I think my favorite moment was when Freya.
Deep breaths. We're like,
I know, because I really did. I loved Freya. Like I said, I loved that she was vengeful and heroic at the same time. And I loved seeing a female main character who is complex in that and doesn't just fit one box. Like, I loved that she was affectionate, but also don't give me any shit kind of character. But I would have to say is every time she accessed her hell power was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and when she found out, and I love how she kept saying, I got to stop doing that. It was essentially what she was like, I really should stop doing that. And she was like, I'm going to keep doing it.
No mortal should have this power.
No one should have it except me. I can have it. You can't. But I think I liked every time that she was accessing her hell power specifically, because the way that Jensen wrote it into A Curse Carved in Bone was fantastic, because you could tell that she was doing it off of her emotion almost. Like every time her emotion hit a certain point, and then every time she came down from it, she felt bad.
Yeah.
Like she was like, I can't believe I just did that. But then she kept doing it. It's like, Freya, you got to stop.
That's it. Once you go down the road, you make the choice. We're talking about this with Saba Tahir's Heir. You make that decision once. It opens the door to, it makes it real easy to do it a second time.
Yeah, to keep doing it. What about you? What was your favorite
I liked,
part?
like thematically, what I really liked about Freya's character is that when we start out in book 1, she's just a fishmonger's wife, right? She guts fish, she cleans fish, and all she ever wants and all she ever dreams about is becoming a warrior and riding out. Like her brother gets to be a warrior, and you know, she gets her dreams delivered, and she finds out that the dream she ached so much for is actually a nightmare. And I think, that's, to me, is a very powerful theme. I think, you know, founders go through that. I think that's something like humans go through, whether, you know, they're starting their own business, whether they're in a marriage, right? Like some people just grow up and think that marriage is the be all end all, and then they get divorced, right? So like the things that you wish for becoming dark, right? Like you wish for this thing to happen and then it just turns into darkness. I love that about Freya's character.
That's a good point. Yeah. Because the thing that you love becoming the thing that you hate.
Yeah.
Or the thing that you thought you would love.
Yeah. It's like she wanted this so much, and then she attains her dreams, and now it's a prison. And she's racked by the torment of casting people down into hell and otherwise. I think I loved the storyteller aspect, right? So they have it in Norse mythology. They use the skald, S-K-A-L-D, as the storyteller that kind of helps shape visions, right? It's kind of like, they use it in the book as the propaganda machine, but it's also the skald weaves these stories, and they don't just they come to life in people's memories and alive in their visions. So the skald, basically, with the use of music and the magic of the words, like all of a sudden it's like a movie playing before your eyes. And that's the effect that the skald has when she tells her story. And I think the skald magic I really liked. Is it Skade? Skade's the one with the arrows.
I think Skade's the one with the arrows.
Tora? Is Tora the
I think it's Tora.
Shame on me, but there's a scene where
there's a lot of words, guys.
I'd always been told, Freya's saying, I've always been told that a skald's song showed only the truth, but now it was clear to me that partial truths could amount to a significant lie.
Ooh,
and that was one of my favorite quotes in A Curse Carved in Bone, where all these partial truths could be stitched together to weave like a propaganda piece to attain one's goals, right? It's no longer the truth anymore.
Right. And that kind of embodies, like you said, what Freya goes through is this constant push and pull where she's just being fed different versions of propaganda.
Yeah.
And after a while, and the thing is somebody apparently said that she, like, I saw something where it's like, oh, Freya's too mad. Hello, have we seen what she's gone through? First of all, her mother like keeps betraying her constantly. Her own husband like betrayed her, even though she didn't like him. That's fine, but he like betrayed her, gave up her big secret. And her brother's like the more favorite one of the family as opposed to her. Like she's just been like kind of getting the crap end of the stick.
That's an interesting criticism of Freya. Like I wouldn't, like, it doesn't seem to me like she's too mad or mad all the time. Like to me,
I think she's appropriately mad.
I think she's appropriately mad. I think
she deserves to be pissed.
she goes through so much self-examination, I think, as any main character should, right? You're reading the story and you're attached to the main character. So there's always like this questioning of themselves.
Always this questioning. And the fact that she does keep questioning herself even after she like, drags people to hell. which is still, I love that. I don't know why I love that so much. It's not, I don't want to be dragged to hell. I just think it's like, it's just interesting magic. The Norse mythology element was just kind of very intriguing.
Yeah, Jensen depicted the curse down to hell pretty interesting, where it was tree roots
Yeah.
from the underworld coming up and dragging people down. And conceptually, what you're doing is you're robbing them of Valhalla in the story, right? Like you even see it even in like Mad Max. They're like, to Valhalla, you know.
Right.
Mad Max is borrowing from Norse mythology there, but I loved that version of like the tree roots just ripping people down.
Yes, the visual aspect of it, I think, was just what captured me. But I do not think that Freya was too mad. I think that she was absolutely appropriately mad. She's been, dragged around, told all kinds of lies, and she doesn't know what to believe anymore. And really, the only person that she can trust, and she finds, even though he did lie to her, is Bjorn. But I think, what did you rate it?
I'm going to go with the 3 on this one.
Man.
I know. We're a little disparate in our reviews here.
All right. Wait, hold on. As a duo moment, though.
As a duo moment.
Both the books together, what would you rate it? Don't be afraid to say 3.
Yeah, I think I would still go 3.
Good. 3 is still good, guys.
Like, I'm not taking days off to read it. I wasn't obsessed with having to read it. And I think with Darker Shades, you've just been like, I have spent too much time in this world. I need to exit, because you read so much at the same time.
I did.
And that effect didn't happen to me, but I did feel like timing wise, this month that we were reading, it was just like a crazy month for me in general. So I never got like totally latched into the world. And that aside, right? Because that, you can put my personal bias aside of like timing and other life stuff. But the random split, some of it felt like hodgepodge. Right. And there were parts of it that I really liked, and there were parts of it that I didn't really like. So that's why I'm gonna go middle of the road here. 3.
Middle of the road is good. 3 stars is still good, guys, by the way.
Yeah, I haven't given a 1 or 2 yet. Like, we haven't read anything that was like, I'm like DNFing this. Like
DNF also means do not finish. But yeah, so I still stick with my 5-star. And you know what? Leave us down below a comment if like what your favorite new book release is for the year 2025.
Yeah, lots coming out.
There's a lot coming out. But join us next time. Be sure to subscribe, like, follow. We're everywhere. We're on
the gram.
We're on the gram. We're on TikTok.
Spellsfromtheshelf.com.
And spellsfromtheshelf.com. So until next time, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.